If I like you, you're my friend, most likely I will connect you to my other investment friends. April, May, a lot of money, and August, September, the best times for closing money. Do not waste your time on bad investors. Good investor will tell you really quickly, no. Build a long-term relationship, because if you sell your company or even if you fail, if you have this good relationship, investor will forgive you and they will give you more money. And do not lie to your investors. If they will find out, you will lose respect forever. Investors want to see that you're a real human being. People are busy, follow up, and follow up. In the US, people want to see that you're a hustler. If you cannot follow up with investors for this 200K, how are you going to close your contracts? How are you going to negotiate with suppliers? How are you going to get that very first customers? If I see somebody who's hustling, who's trying to find my coffee shop and meet me somewhere, I will give them time. I would say in general, 3 to 5 follow-ups just to get a response, it's okay. Do not get fucked, get good lawyers. Just Google all the coffee shops with the Google people with a lot of money. There are a lot of wealthy people in that area. Fundraising in the US can be challenging, but it's also very much fun, and it's concentrated in places, and people do allocate. It's the culture of giving money to crazy, brilliant, and early ideas. There's nothing else around the world, and I lived in France, China, Germany, Australia, in the US. I've never seen anything like that. Valerie Bertele, San Francisco, VC. So we're gonna teach today the most popular question that I've been asked as a venture capitalist: how to fundraise in the US, how to understand the market, how to approach investors, and how to really create this pipeline and the FOMO to close your funds. And I think the most important thing is, well, not just to get the money, but choose the right investors, because very often investor relationship lasts longer than the average marriage. And I also would love to touch on LinkedIn, because I believe it's the most fundamental platform you need in the US for your personal brand and for your company brand, and as well for fundraising. And it's a really, really powerful tool to open doors, to connect to people, and to have your voice out there. Thank you very much for coming. I live in San Francisco. I'm a real VC. We're currently in the fund 2. We're investing in early stage, primarily in future of work, future of education. Basically, what do we need to study now, and how do we going to prepare for the future? And together with Yellow Rocks, I'm working on early stage. I also cherry pick late stage companies, usually pre-IPO, and help them on fundraising, funds between 50 million to 250 million. And I do go-to-market strategy, sales, and business development. In my previous life, I was working with Google Cloud. On BD, my deals were like 300, 500 million. So I'm a big B2B salesperson. And last year, after completing Stanford, I realized that there's a big disconnect between government, policy, and technology. So I'm also trying to marry White House and Silicon Valley, advising governments and advising tech companies how to approach the government. I know there's still a long way to go, but I just feel that this is something we need to do. I work a lot in Middle East. I think Saudi Arabia and UAE, the big allocators, there's a lot of funds coming, and they want to invest in startups, in late stage companies, and also choose technologies for the development of that region. So early stage, late stage, and government. So today, as I said, there's 2 parts, and I think this is my new concept, combining fundraising and LinkedIn, because I do believe that LinkedIn is the single most platform that you need in the US. It's very easy to use once you know what to do there, and you can connect with anybody. And it's also, I think, with the age of AI and this access of information, LinkedIn, it is not just your CV, it's your website, it's your platform to talk to. And everybody in the US, once you start fundraising, they will Google your LinkedIn, and they will see who you connected to. Or it's almost like a neural network. You will understand, is this person connected to founders or healthcare or education? In the US, because there's so many people, especially in Silicon Valley, people need to have some sort of anchors. Is it university or is any connection? And LinkedIn, it's something that helps to kind of position you in which buckets they're going to put you in. So it's really, really important to have it. And I'm just amazed how people fundraising and they have a few followers and it's totally empty. Like nobody knows you. And LinkedIn's the only way potentially to express who you are in the US. So let's start. I will go with the basics. As I said, we will have 3 main parts: how to get the money, where to start with LinkedIn, and grow your personal and the company brand. And those are the main areas we're going to be discussing. This is just a week ago. Everything San Francisco, we're trying the latest technology, just having fun. I'm actually sitting right now with a unicorn founder who built $1 billion company. He bought this and we were just testing it in a coffee shop. This is how deals are actually done in coffee shops very often. Have you seen the sitcom? Oh, the coffee shop. I will tell you actually about specific locations, where to get and where to hunt investors. That's a really good questions. Because, and this workshop, a lot of people will tell you, go to PitchBook, find the data. Yes, it's good. And you will start sending emails, but nobody will respond to you. You have to go to the coffee shops. Exactly. You have to go to the areas and to find those people and bump into them or like sit to them next to them in the conference. This is how it works. If you haven't seen the sitcom, please watch it. It's called Silicon Valley. It's so good. It's literally to the point about how Silicon Valley works. So I will start with the basic, the pitch deck. Many people are still doing bad pitch decks. This is a Sequoia Capital, one of the biggest funds, and they have this free pitch deck template. It's available anywhere. Just Google that. And once you're building your pitch deck, company purpose, problem, solution, why now, market size, competition, product, business model, team, financials. Very, very simple. So please work on your pitch decks. Everything is available, and I'm not going to focus in detail on that because there's so many templates. Even some website, you upload your pitch deck, and the AI will analyze it and give you suggestions where to, what, and focus. That's not the most important. Even if you have a bad pitch deck, but you have a good storytelling, you bumped into a right investor in a coffee shop, you will get money. So I believe that this is good to have, but it's a baseline. Everybody can have a really good pitch deck. And for me as an investor, I think they're becoming to look almost the same. Like I'm like, okay, it's a good pitch deck, but it's hard for me to choose where's the good startup. So don't focus on that much, I would say. The first law of fundraising, and I think this is very, very, very important, don't try to be clever. You don't have any deep tech companies, so it's maybe easier for you. Make it easy to understand who you are, what you do, what do you want, because often you're not only asking for money, you're asking for what partnerships do you need, what connections do you need, like is there any specific help? In Silicon Valley, everybody really, VCs are going to help you. Ideally, they will roll up their sleeves and they will make your company successful because it's in their own interest. Historically, VC started as more financial people. Here's the money. Please don't bother me. Just come back and give me returns. Right now, the system is changing and investors are interested to see your progress. They want to know if you have problems. So you have to tell them like, hey, we're having issue. Can you help us with hiring? Can you help us to break into that corporates? So it's much, much more engaging and really helping each other. So the clearer you are, what you're building, why now, why you, and I think this is fundamental because especially if you're talking about AI, so many companies, it's a lot of noise. You have to explain why you're going to succeed. Let's say if you're building education, maybe you've tested in a specific market or like there's nobody else or you have specific access, like why you are going to succeed with this idea. Because idea can be great, but maybe you're not the best team or not the best person. By the way, you're two co-founders here. It's a good example. What are your responsibilities? Who is the hacker, hustler, or?
I'm more the sales oriented.
Okay.
He's more the product side of things.
Okay, so you have a hacker, the technical person, and the hustler.
Yeah.
Okay, and I will talk about this concept. Investors very often, they want to understand why you get together and how are you benefiting each other. And there's also some red flags. People don't like to see couples, for example, because couples, have issues, they break, and then it's hard to separate companies. It's a really big flag, for example, unfortunately. So you have to understand like why you're together and explain the story. For you, it's easy, sales and tech. So startup funding round guide. I think most of you are sitting in the pre-seed and early stage. This is early stage. You need to understand what are you looking for and what investors are going to be asking you, right? So in the pre-seed fundings, you have to demonstrate concept, solid founding team, like why together, and are you going to break up? Like, are you a solid structure to win, right? And then initial customer validation. So nobody's going to be asking you about revenue growth or profitability. It's fine if you have some sort of projection for. A lot of people try to build, financial planning and have the numbers. Nobody knows. You're just starting. You haven't tested yet. I think from my perspective, we want to see ideally that you have a really kind of first customers, like you starting touching this product market fit. It means people are, and often people are willing to pay you for that. If you have first customers and happy customers, for me, it can be good enough. One more really important part for pre-seed and seed. Do not try to make your investor happy. Yes, you have to talk to them and raise money, but the most important, you need to focus on making your customers happy. Spend more time responding to every customer, giving feedback, even like walking them through the journey. How did you use my product? What did you like? What you didn't like? How would you like to improve it? Like working with parents, right? You want to make your customers happy, and then second, investors. A lot of founders on the early stage chasing that check, chasing those like emails, and they're forgetting the customer, and then you're going to struggle. If your customers are happy, you can even ask them to give feedback to the VC. To say, hey, this is fantastic, I really love it, give them money, I want them to grow. So make your customer happy in the very beginning. Once you go into seed round, then you have to show further validation and beginning your growth, right? So we're looking at the product market fit, even though I would say in the US, they kind of want to see in pre-seed as well that you're starting to see that you found your niche. And very often, if you're repeatable founders, or if you, for example, coming from the industry and you have a specific knowledge, investors will allow you not to have it yet. They will even say, hey, I know financial area for 20 years. I haven't found my niche yet, but I'm iterating, I'm trying. And investors will be more willing to give you money just to kind of try and to test, knowing that you have some sort of a unique background. Rather than if you had nothing, no experience, they will be less forgiving for you. For example, in Silicon Valley, we have ex-Google, ex-Microsoft, big companies. People will just give them money because they've been there for 20 years. Not necessarily they're good founders, but it's the anchor that I told you. US, they really want to find anchor. That's why there's a famous saying, if you're wearing a Stanford hoodie in any event, the VC will just like, okay, here's the check. It's unfortunate, but for them, it's a strong validation, because if you can get into Stanford, you're either super smart, or you have money, or you have connections. One of those three will ideally help you to succeed. So once you're moving to Series A, you need to look at stronger revenue growth. You need to show profitability, and I don't mean like breaking even. At least you need to show that you have money, you're not burning too much. User base, and then the B is pretty much the same. Market share, solid financials, more scalable. And in US, very often, on a Series B and C, you might start seeing already M&A. Somebody will try to purchase you or acquire you. Very often, B, C, it's already the stage when you can look for selling your company. On a Series C and beyond, and moving further, it's very often leadership. You've seen and you've heard cases. Even Steve Jobs, he was moved from the CEO position, and unfortunately, it's a very common reality. I think statistics, it's around like 40% of founders are staying CEOs or in the leadership positions on the later stages, because it requires special skills to start a company and grow it to a certain area versus managing it on the later stages, private equities, moving into bigger scalable growth. It requires sometimes a professional CEO versus a founder mindset. A lot of people are very good at starting something, but they're not good at maintaining and doing the routine work. So very often you see that the CEOs will be moved into different positions. And then special cases that we see very often, bridge rounds and debt financing. And I would say if you can get debt, very often we see debt versus equity. Equity means you're getting money in exchange for the ownership of your company, and debt financing is just you getting a loan from the bank. If you can get it without diluting your company and giving it away, why not? So we see it more and more often. And I think bridge rounds, that's something you've heard quite recently. Because the market was quite finicky in the last year or two, a lot of founders are not going for the full next round. They're saying we're just doing the bridge because we need to either get to the specific market share or get more revenue. So it's kind of perceived well if you're saying, hey, I'm just doing the bridge right now to the next level. The next one is very important. It's your startup metrics. Everybody will ask you about pretty much all of them. So I would say try to learn, understand how to calculate it, how to talk about them. Monthly revenue growth, yearly revenue growth, this is pretty much your Bible that you have to learn and to understand. And as I mentioned, in the US, there's a lot of specific linguistics. So once you're getting a little bit to more in-depth discussions, they will be throwing at you those words just to understand, are you in the game? Are you understanding what they're looking for? So I'm not going deeper in all of them. There's plenty of information. Just Google it. I think the most important ones that we're looking at right now, everything around revenue, how much money you're making and how you're making money. Because investor will ask you clearly, what are you building? I understand your product. How are you making money? And how are you planning to grow? And what do you think is the right answer when investor is asking you, are you planning to sell or you want to grow? Do you think what is the right answer? When people are asking, are you planning to do exit? What is your end goal? What, you want to say you want to keep the company or you want to sell the company?
Oh, keep.
Why do you think it's keep?
Well, they want to see like 10 to 100x, right?
Like you're committed, okay.
Yeah, and that you're and very few of them have a time horizon of like 2 years. Most of them have time horizons of more like 10 years, and so they want to see that massive growth. You exiting early at 5x is not interesting.
Not enough. Okay, why did you say they want to see that you're selling?
This is where the real money is made.
Somebody who's a reputable founder. The right answer to that is say, yes, I'm very committed, that's my product, it's my baby, I would love to grow it, but if there's a good opportunity, I know how to sell. Because at the end of the day, investors, they want to have liquidity, and even if you're selling, you can still stay with the company and you can still grow, you can just be part of something bigger. But it's really important to understand how you're going to sell, especially if you're B and C, as I said, there will be M&A happening. There's two major types of acquisitions. One is called acqui-hire, when they're hiring for acquisitions just to often get talent or technology. Let's say Microsoft, Google, those big titans, they will acquire your company to kind of put it inside, right? Often like unique skills. I think the famous case, do you know all the Reels in Instagram? They pretty much acquired the company with the tools and the people, and it's just part of the bigger product. Some founders are not happy about that. Like Waze was acquired by Google. I was interviewing the founder. He was like, screw that, Google just totally destroyed our whole idea, but it's an acqui-hire. And the second, it's an M&A when you keep your product and you co-developing it together. So Instagram itself, the product, is a really good book actually. It's called No Filter. Fantastic, seriously. I think it's the best book by Financial Times called No Filters. How Instagram was built, how they sell or didn't sell, and how it's actually changed our society forever in terms of like, everything is Instagrammable these days. So, and when they're talking, so when Instagram was acquired, they have a strong positioning saying that we will have independence, how we make our revenue, what decision we make. So as a founder, you have to also think, are you going to be acquired and just disappear within the bigger titan or keep your independence? But you have to have strong negotiation point. And sometimes the first offer, it's not a good offer. You have to wait until the better bidders. So it's a whole different strategy about M&As. So moving on, any questions here?
This matrix, if you were to pick, let's say, 3 for the pre-seed metrics, what would be your more than 3?
I would say depends on the stage, monthly or annual recurring revenue. I mean, that's about money. It's very important. Another one, burn rate, very, very important. It means how much money are you burning? And talking about Silicon Valley, if you're moving to the US, I would say there's 2 strategies. One, yes, you're staying in Silicon Valley and you can attract best talent and you're part of the ecosystem, which is good, but it is expensive. I will give you rough numbers. 3 engineers in Silicon Valley, like good engineers, will cost you $1 million. Unless you attract them with benefits or, because why would they go and work for some startup if they can go and work in Google? I was working Google Cloud. Our engineers literally like 3, 4, 5, 600,000 as a salary. So 3 engineers, $1 million. But if you go, let's say, to Mexico and you can hire 15 engineers, different quality, depends, you can have for $1 million maybe 6 or 7. So some investor will ask you, what is your strategy? If you're in Silicon Valley, why do you want to be here? What unique advantages are you gaining from that? For example, one of my recent companies that we invested in, they got the money from Silicon Valley and they moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is in the middle of nowhere because one of the investors, Kaiser family, offered them free housing. So they save on a super expensive rate, they have office, and they just 7 people quietly building an $8 million business. So for me, I really like to see it because the burn rate is very small. A lot of people, they fundraise, but they just spend this money within a couple of months. So I would say revenue, burn rate, you have to show how many people, where they are. And right now with remote work, it's kind of expected that you will have teams around the world to save the cost. Unless you really want to be together, but you have to justify why you need 3 engineers in Silicon Valley for $1 million, because it's really expensive and also very competitive. Another one, if I can choose the third one, I mean, it kind of depends on your business. I would choose something about churn, or maybe the customer acquisition, how much it costs you to get new customers, and how long are you going to stay with you, right? Let's say, any example, education, like what is the price of a customer, right? Are they super expensive? Like, I think they will need to understand it's more like a business model metric. The most important thing, once you're raising, it's not about your deck, it's about your investors. Who are you pitching to? So those are the main type of investors, and the red ones, the ones I'm working closely. You probably all heard about FFF, Friends, Family, and Fools. It's popular in the US. If you can get money from your friends, from your previous employers, and maybe some fools, go for it. Just make sure you have a good lawyer to structure the deal. This is very often in the US because, as I told you, every good engineer in Silicon Valley makes between 300,000 and 600,000. And the stock and the people have lots of money. You can literally go to Google's meeting and ask an engineer to give you, I don't know, 100K. They wouldn't probably even notice. And if you structure it well for tax reduction, it will be great. So in rich places, people have money, and you don't need to go to any institutional investors. You can literally get it from employees. You know, I think being smart, if you have somebody who's, let's say, get into unicorn status, it means founders, the team, like first 10, 20 people, they're all becoming millionaires. They have lots of money, and those people are looking to invest. So you need to be thinking who just recently got money, who fundraised, any grants or anything like that. You approach those people, and I can tell about strategy, which coffee shops to go to approach them. But don't underestimate the power of family, friends, and fools. Those people are also managing their own money together with family offices very often. They're flexible. They are not going to stress out and use somebody to take the money back or something. And institutional investors, we're managing somebody else's money. We have responsibility. We have timelines. But for friends and family offices, it's their own money. It means they're much more flexible about giving you more or waiting a little bit less. So it gives you additional areas. Angels, it can be regular people who are investing. And right now, there are a lot of angel syndicates. For example, in the US, there's plenty you can search for female founders. There are Google syndicates. Like, so everybody from Google, they have syndicates. Facebook, so all these big tech companies. I think there's New York, London angels. So there are many, many groups. And how angels will work, they will do SPV, a specific kind of a special purpose vehicle. And they will just start investing through that and invite multiple investors for that. The benefits of angel investing, more flexibility. You can get diverse range of investors. And very often for angels, you can get people who will help you. Maybe it's people who have connections to corporates, or maybe it's educational angels, right? So they come from the industry and ecosystem. So together with money, you will have help. And I think angels are fantastic. I'm also an angel. I put my own checks in the areas where I feel I understand the product and where I can help. So very often, family offices and people who run funds, they will be angels themselves. So syndicates and angels are sitting together. Then we have accelerators. In the US, the biggest accelerators are, of course, YC. Have you heard about YC? YC, it's good and bad. It became very, very popular. So for me as an investor, very often it's like 2 minutes per startup. If I'm literally listening to the pitches, it's just impossible. 150 pitches, like I cannot comprehend that. And they often have nothing. They have beautiful pitch decks, no customers, no plans. They just, because we're in YC, you have to give us money. And they were very pushy, very expensive. So I would say last year and a half, investors are kind of very careful about YC. Like institutional investors, like funds, where like they're not the best quality in a way that they're too expensive. But other people will be just throwing money just because you're there. So you kind of have to decide what works for you. Still a good brand. Right now in the US, we have really cool accelerator. It's called HO2, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Very special, very protected, more technical, like engineering, but they are not even inviting investors. Like as investors, like I'm trying to get in. I have my portfolio companies there, but they will say no investors, and they will open special days when you can come, one person per fund, and they will kind of say, we're the coolest one. We will decide who will be invited. So there are like specific areas popping up which you can look for. Otherwise, there's also major accelerators for every big university. MIT has one, Berkeley has one, Skydeck. So you can choose universities, you can choose education, medtech, there's plenty of them. I would say YC, Skydeck is really good, Alchemist is really good. It depends what you're looking for. Accelerators are usually working on, very often they will give you free training for a couple of months or weeks, and they will either take small equity, or in terms of YC, they take pretty significant equity, so you're giving up. Everything, friends, family, angels, syndicates, and accelerators are combination. It's some sort of educational part like accelerators. And from the 5, we're going into institutional investors. Very often, they're either managing corporate money or they're managing other people's money. Do you know about GP/LP? Right? So LPs are investors, GP are managers. So general partners and limited partners. So everything from 5, 6, 7, 8 to 10, it's institutional investors. So they are good because they have good names. They can help you usually with a lot of network, but they are smaller, or not smaller, sorry, slower. They have a lot of, like brackets, what they can and cannot do. And in general, I think it's harder to fundraise with them if you're early stage founder, unless they're specifically on healthcare, on food, rather than the first 4. The difference between early and late stage is those metrics of what they're looking for. Early stage companies, smaller checks usually. Late stage, it's often merging with private equity, meaning there's more buyouts, and they're already collaborating with banks. Sovereign wealth funds are also great, but it's usually like massive. And what I like, for example, in the Middle East, they're slowly moving into early stages, and they're allocating, instead of Heathrow Airport in London, they'll be looking into venture capital. Things are changing, like literally as we speak. A few big sovereign funds launched venture capital arms. Who do you think are the biggest venture sovereign funds in the world? Can you tell me?
Middle East.
Middle East, okay. Who's number 1? Actually, not Middle East.
China?
No. Norway.
I wanted to say,
Norway is the biggest fund, and the country is tiny. It's 4 million. I would encourage you literally try to go to Norway. There's so many wealthy people, oil and gas, and there's a generational transfer happening. I have close friends who are like early next generation of family offices, and they're all looking to diversify from oil and gas, real estate into venture. So Norway number 1, bigger than any Middle East. They're huge. Then Middle East, of course, there's Saudi Arabia, there's Emirates, Qatar, and Bahrain. Dubai, it's very open, like things are like kind of easier. Riyadh, I would definitely focus on that. It's a little bit hectic, but they need everything. They need education, they need healthcare, they need transportation, health is next. Whenever I'm there, they're like, hey, I'm just lost, because they literally need everything, and there's so much money you can't even imagine. When people think that things became harder in the US, yes, it's true. We have really high interest rate, and also right now you can put money into saving accounts for like up to 7%. So why would you even put it anywhere else? You just keep your money there. Plus, we have beautiful presidents. So it's a bit of volatility. People are a little bit holding to their money, especially last year or two. But Middle East is just unleashing. They still don't have structure. It's still a bit of a wild world, but I would definitely encourage you to go there and get the feel of it, especially Riyadh, because it's so wild. And they try to copy Dubai. There's like money on the floor, just telling you. So don't think that sovereign funds, it's only Heathrow. They are looking into venture actively. And my very, very favorite, it's family offices. Why do you like family offices? Because it's people managing their own money. It's so much easier for them to say, hey, I really like you, here's the money. And if there's some problems or something is happening, they're not managing like professional funds or even banks and sovereign wealth. They're not managing the government money or LPs. It's their pockets and their checks. And usually, I think for them, historically, as I say, they've been 70% in real estate, like bigger projects, and they are looking into venture. I just came back from Stockholm. There was a private gathering, 150 family offices, and everything was about VC, AI, and technology, and how they can get there. There's still a really big disconnect. They don't know how to connect with founders, and founders have no idea how to approach family offices. Try to get into family office gatherings. Some of them are private, but there are some where you pay a small fee, or often if you have really good like education, like some sustainability focus, they will let you go for free to pitch directly for family offices. And I would say the best idea, try to literally be friends. Like find a hobby. Not everybody's going to do sailing, but I don't know, skiing, education. If you make friends with family offices, it's a really close community. It's like having your private banks in your WhatsApp. It's literally single best thing. I'm also part of the family office. I just tell you, works like magic. And once you're there, once you sold 1 or 2 companies, you can call the people and they will give you money. It's so much easier than funds or than banks because it's institutional versus private money. So please look into family office. They are looking for you right now. So family office, there are, there are different type of family offices. There's like generational wealth, let's say family who built Porsche, right? So they're like, often they don't even have a Porsche name, so you can't even find them. And they're professional managers. I would encourage you to focus on 2 type of family offices. First, and the most important, it's the first generation. People who just made their money. It can be either regular businesses or there's a lot of unicorn founders. They becoming family offices. Once you unicorn, it means your company valued over $1 billion. It means everybody who's founders or like the top of the company, they have hundreds of $1 million and they're looking to invest and to do something with that. And I like first generation because it's smart people who build companies themselves, they can relate to you. If you're going to generation 2, 3, 4, 5, they probably never done anything in their life. They still can allocate money, but the mindset is slightly different. So my favorite, it's a new generation. And the second part, it's family offices who are specific on certain areas. Maybe they built a pharmaceutical company, let's say Merck. They're trying to look into that area, everything around healthcare. So they know the area really well. And if they give you money, they can also give you access to their corporation or to the group of people and companies they're managing. So very, very valuable. Do your homework. Who is your investor? It's about understanding that specific person, knowing the coffee shop. Once you're targeting somebody and you know that there's an investor who's allocating within your area, healthcare or banking, you have to literally learn if they have children, if they have dogs, where do they ski, what do they like? And some of them are private, some of them are public, but people who are public, they have blogs, they'll be having LinkedIn. And once you understand them, you know how to approach them, where to bump into them. Like my life hack, I love skiing. A lot of my investors are skiers, and we genuinely love that, yeah. Yeah, so try to connect genuinely to those people and do your homework. It's so important. If you're reaching out to somebody, but maybe they have a hobby, I don't know, they're building movies. So if you tell them, hey, I've seen your tiny little, not really good movie, they will so much more likely give you money once you know who they are and what they do, especially if they publish, especially if they're active. So many people approach them for money, but they like, have you ever read like what I do? So it's really, really important. Another thing, finding your door, and especially in Silicon Valley, don't go too high and don't go too low. Find your advocate, and I will explain what it means. This is an example. For example, if you're approaching, let's say, Andreessen Horowitz. Everybody knows, I hope, what Andreessen Horowitz is. Very often, if you go to conferences, there will be investors who are talking and they're famous people who already made money. It means they've chosen that Airbnb, the Facebook, whatever. What they're interested in life is to do sailing, buy their wine, buy next house. They're not looking for fundings. Yes, they still can be working in those companies, but I would say they're fat in a way that they've already had their fame. You have to find somebody who is hungry, who is a newer investor, who wants to make the name, who is looking for this new big thing. And they will be much more likely to advocate for you inside of this organization to get you to that senior partner or to advocate for you to get the checks. But they will be working with you. Don't go for the famous people because they already made their fame. That's a really big mistake. People see, oh, this is the founder of something. They're lazy. They're not interested in working for you anymore. And then also don't go too low. Very often in LinkedIn, and actually you have to know how to scroll. People say investors, but if you look deeper, they're actually analysts. So many people are just, analysts can be your doors because they are preparing slides, they are doing analysis, but very often they don't have power to allocate. So you can be building relationships, spending all this time skiing the hell out of them, but they cannot make a decision, they don't give you money. So you have to find somebody who is decision maker, but not too snobby or too famous, who will actually open your email and talk to you. It's a single biggest mistake people make in Silicon Valley, not finding this advocate who will open the door for you. Once you founded investors and you go get a coffee or you get a call, you have to look for three things: the head, heart, head, and hands. And I put heart as a first because sometimes investors will just, they resonate to your story, who you are, where you're coming from, like what are you building? Maybe it's something personal, education, healthcare, maybe somebody had a disease or they will love you by heart. And if you have the emotional part, and it's also storytelling, then they will go into head, logical. Is it a good investment? Are the numbers are good? Like, is this something valuable? Maybe I love it, but that's not going to work. And the last part is hands, practical. Are we in an allocating period? Do they have everything, legal structure right? So you have to think about emotional, logical, and practical. This is basic, but people don't think about connecting on the emotional level very often when they're pitching. Try to become friends, because Silicon Valley, it's also a small circle. If I like you, you're my friend, most likely I will connect you to my other investment friends. It's a really trust and respect relationship. Another really important point, especially in the US, it's the calendar. We all have taxes around April, May. So approaching somebody before the deadline for taxes, it's impossible. People are just crazy. Personal taxes, corporate taxes, really bad timing. So let me just start from the beginning. January, everybody's skiing, holidays, not a good time. February, it's kind of like beginning of the year, I would say also not a good time. And then taxes. So after taxes are done, after April, they're usually huge returns. In the US, everything is optimized that you pay in front more to IRS, and then you get your money. So if you want to get allocations, very often people will have money between April and May, which is fantastic. And April, May, and June are kind of like this really active. People finish the vacation, finish skiing and holiday and Christmas. Then they're actively working towards taxes. They have money, and they're racing until the summer. Because in summer, I would say July, August, there's even not so many conferences. Everything is a little bit dead. People take vacations, children going to Europe. It's a little bit busy. And then September, October, November will be super active. Lots of conferences, TechCrunch, everything is happening. And then in November, we start having Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are pretty much dead as well. So if you didn't close until November, December, then pretty much you have to wait. One more thing. I told you about taxes. People don't know about that. This is specifically US. And also August. If you're working with corporates, in August, there's a budgeting planning. So if the company or investors, they know how the year is going to end, potentially end of Q3, Q4, they will also have, they will plan for the next year money allocation, so say August, September. So in my experience, you have to start working maybe, there's two cycles, like autumn and spring. April, May, a lot of money, and August, September, the best times for closing money. Don't forget vacations, so January, February, that, and summer. And also when you're approaching somebody, look at public holidays in the US. They're slightly different than Europe. I was also surprised that, let's say, Labor Day or 4th of July, everybody's out. So they're going to miss your emails, or they will be just down at the bottom. So you have to think when you're sending to them. Get to know quickly. Very, very important. Do not waste your time on bad investors. In Silicon Valley, there are engineers, founders, and investors. So every third person will tell you they're investors. And there, as I told you, there's three, the main troublemakers are ghosts who never respond. If somebody's just not responding, you've done your homework, you have the specific words, just forget about them. Second, clowns who fail to walk the talk. It's people who are like, yeah, fantastic, we're going to do everything. US, yes, you're great. And they just never deliver. Also, watch out for those. And the last one is players who have a hidden agenda. Some people like to have the idea, yes, I'm an investor, I'm an angel, I'm sustainability, but at the end of the day, just putting everything in oil and gas. So you have to understand who they really are and don't waste your time. I would say there's plenty of investors. Good investor will tell you really quickly, no. They will tell you, this is our focus, this is what we do. I like you, I don't like you, I need more time. They will be responsive, they will be respectful for your time. If somebody's not, don't think that you're good, that you're bad. It's the wrong investors, and there are plenty of them. There's a lot of like really bad reputation for VCs just because of those people. Good investors will do exactly. Promise they will be very quickly and very responsive. Even on the highest level, they will, it's just the professionalism of what they do. Okay, passion and value, I think I mentioned that before. Trust and respect, build long-term relationship. Because if you sell your company, or even if you fail, if you have this good relationship, investor will forgive you and they will give you more money. Venture capital, it's not banking like traditional loans. It's very different. People are expecting you sometimes to, to fail, to pivot. You have to have a good relationship. And the very important thing, if something is going wrong, you're losing the money, you need more money, you're burning too much, you have to go to investor and be transparent. Do not lie to your investors. If they will find out, you will lose respect forever. I had examples like we found out about one of the founders that he got the money and he was flying to London on a private jet, like spending $50,000 in the meetings for a week. I'm like, crazy. So once we found out that, like it's your reputation is damaged. So be honest and transparent, trust and respect. If you're going into meetings, right now there's a lot of Zoom calls. Prepare, invite people, materials, tags, do your homework, the most important. During the meeting, of course, you do introduction, you do pitch. Be yourself. Investors want to see that you're a real human being. Don't be like, okay, this is something I've learned. And be flexible. If you see something isn't working, like simple body language, investors are like, like not listening, stop that, say, hey, how are you feeling? Is it not something I'm resonating? Have it as a really smart discussion. Like this is fundamental, okay? And at the end, be helpful. Even if the people tell you this is not something, I'm not going to waste your time, still thank them. Agree on the clear next steps. If you're working with a professional, you can ask them, what is your regular process? Are you going to send me email? Would you like how do you work? For example, with us, what's our process? We meet in first, or like we're getting the deck. If everything is doing great, then we send it to our analyst for deeper due diligence. Or we will hire outside due diligence people, let's say if it's some specific software. They do analysis. Then we will do first investment committee. We get all our partners together, we discuss it. And then there's a second investment committee just to make a decision. And then the money is going to be wired. So normally the process for us, I would say between 4 to 6 weeks, 6 weeks. But if everything is going really quick, the fastest we did, I think, was 3 days. It was just like. And we also can piggyback on due diligence from other funds if we're not leading, if we're following. But you have to ask about next steps and really important things to follow up. People are busy, follow up, and follow up. Sometimes, even with me, I'm talking to my investors and there's like nothing. And then I just reach out, hey, how about you transfer money? People, oh, thank you, I was just on vacation, here's the money. So you never know that people, I just swear, in the US, people want to see that you're a hustler. If you cannot follow up as investors for this 200K, how are you going to close your contracts? How are you going to negotiate with suppliers? How are you going to get that very first customers? They want to see that you are persistent, smart, and you can just, you can have the grit to push them to get to that meeting, to get the check. This is like, for me, if I see somebody who's hustling, who's trying to find my coffee shop and like meet me somewhere, I will give them time because I know that they're hustlers. If they can do it to me, they can do it to a customer. So following up, there are certain strategies when to follow up, call, not call, emails. I would say in general, 3 to 5 follow-ups just to get a response, it's okay. Try not to be blind, just say, hey, follow up, like, hey, I've seen you speaking there. We have new updates. Something interesting to keep them engaged, to be smart how you're following up. But it's critical. People think, oh, nobody's responding. It's just because you're not pushing enough. Hustle, be persistent. Building momentum, creating FOMO, it's another whole strategy. When do you start and how you talk to other people. Say, hey, somebody else is investing. It's a whole philosophy, but you also need to know about that. I would say hustle. In the US, very often, if you're 2 people, hustler, it's the person who sells and who will be like pushing, and then they're looking for hacker, the technical person. Very often it's just those 2, but if you have a third person, usually it's the hipster. It's somebody who do the culture, who can position the product really well. But hustler and hacker, it's the classic combo. Do not get fucked. Get good lawyers. In US, my common joke, there's 2 best friends, the dentist and the lawyers. Because they are bad investors, they're sneaky investors. They will put some terms that are not good for you. Good investors want you to succeed, because if you're not motivated, if you don't have enough money in the later stages, you're not going to work on a product. Say, hey, everything is diluted. There's no meat for me. So lawyers are paramount. US, it's good terms. People will going to be suing each other in later stage. It's totally different. It's crazy. It's even a corporate benefit to have a lawyer, or like a law benefit to like protecting you from get sued. So this is super, super important. In terms of lawyers, quick suggestion. There are big firms that can be expensive, or they can give you a good name. I don't think you need those. There are specific technology VC and founders like Cooley, for example, and they're known in the Valley. Or you go to private lawyers, somebody who will be just kind of maybe cheaper for you. They don't have a big credibility, but they will work for you as your advocate. So you have to look for those. Very, very, very important, US specific. Oh, one more thing, coffee shops. This is super important, guys. Let me just go to that. Where to bump into investors. I love that. And this is how I actually how I do business development very often. You need to know where to go. Let me just open that. Can anybody tell me in Silicon Valley or in San Francisco, what are the areas with the biggest concentration of VC? Anybody knows? A specific street?
Sandy Lane.
Which one?
Sandy Lane, Palo Alto.
Palo Alto, yes. Sun Hill Road as well, like all the VCs. In San Francisco, anybody knows the area where all VCs are? Okay, I will show you. This is a special case. So there's one historical place where everything started, and this was in Silicon. So this is San Francisco. As you can see, it's quite small. So in Silicon Valley, everything is happening around Stanford, of course. And there's one really famous road, which is called Sun Hill Road. It's right here. So it's basically, this is Stanford, and there's so many VC companies right there. And then you have to think, if you're working in an office, you will go somewhere for lunch. You will go somewhere for dinner. You will go somewhere for coffees. So literally around this area, there's like a couple of good restaurants right here. Everybody will be there. And there's also one place which is called Rosewood Hotel. Yeah. Oh, no, this is Menlo Park. There's a Rosewood somewhere here. So in that Rosewood, everybody's meeting for drinks, for cocktails. All you need to do your research. Who is investing in your area? Who is allocating money? Literally remember the face of that person. And literally go to that coffee shop, and you will see that person one day, because it's a small area. It's like, this is all residential. It's all our houses. People will need to eat somewhere. Everybody's going to be in this area as well for restaurants and coffee shops. And you will see, like, I've seen literally not Steve Jobs. I've seen Bill Gates sitting and having like a lunch there. Like, you will see those people in those areas, and you can just bump into, hey, I mean, you're fantastic, or I've seen you somewhere else. This is how you spark conversation. They'll be a little bit shocked, but say, hey, can I pitch you? Sometimes they even sit down and listen to you pitch over coffee. It's real and it's happening. You have to be in those areas. So when people ask where to go to a coffee shop. Because if you're in a conference, very often VCs and famous people, they're kind of protective. They will go on a stage and they will just disappear. Sometimes you can't even catch them. What I do if I go to conferences, I'm kind of right next to the stage. Once they finish and they're literally like putting out the microphone, I will catch them right there. I say, hey, fantastic speech. I will do my homework, and I will say, I know you're a skier, we're doing XYZ. It might work, sometimes it might not, but this is your best bet to get that person. And people, it's a culture. In Europe and UK, people don't do that. In US, everybody does that. So you have to hustle. So US thing, because I live right now in San Francisco. I used to live in Mountain View. And also Mountain View, Sunnyvale, this is Google. All the coffee shops will be Google people with a lot of money. Sunnyvale, it's kind of near Apple, and there's also Cupertino right there, all the Apple people. This is people with income from $300,000 to $600,000. They have a lot of money. You can just literally approach them, and like, you have to be smart. Like, people play peekaboo, people do like walking the dogs. There are a lot of wealthy people in that area. So another thing, so in San Francisco, what's happened? It used to be, people used to be here in the city, right here. Now everybody's moving to Presidio. You see this green area? So this is like a national park, and because it's kind of like the safest and the greenest, people with the money like to be there. I think the concentration is like, I don't know, 30, 40 funds are all there. So, and there's also only 3 restaurants, and only one Starbucks, and everybody is there. I swear. It's a secret nobody tells you, but because people are kind of protective of their place, just remember that. There's a Starbucks. You see this one? Every second person is a VC there, and they have Founders Fund, which is Peter Thiel. They have Headline with a 4 billion. They all sit there and drink. I don't like Starbucks, but they're all there. So this is all about fundraising. Fundraising in the US can be challenging, but it's also very much fun, and it's concentrated in places, and people do allocate. It's the culture of giving money to crazy, brilliant, and early ideas. There's nothing else around the world, and I lived in France, China, Germany, Australia, in the US. I've never seen anything like that than San Francisco and Silicon Valley. Thank you.